Welcome to the Social Slice Podcast. My name is Alicia Henley.
And my name is Noble Crawford.
Social Slice gives you a slice of marketing, branding, and social strategy.
From some of the top influencers in the business, we dive into the best practices, tools, and tips
to help you connect, engage, and grow your brand. Grab your slice. Hello, everyone. I am Alicia Henley, one of your co-hosts on the Social Slice Podcast. Noble and I are back this week with literally one of my favorite people in the AV industry, hands down. I cannot take credit for a lot of stuff that I've done up to this point because most of it was influenced by this guy that we have on our show today. So I am super excited to have him here with us. And if you're in the AV industry and you don't know Chris, I don't know where you've been. You might have been living under a rock, but today we have Chris Neto with us on Social Slice Show, and I'm excited. Yes, Chris, good morning, good afternoon. I don't even know what time it is. That's how excited I am to have you on the show.
It would be good afternoon. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Man, it's great to see you back podcasting and writing and doing all the stuff that you do that influences so many of us in the industry today. Now, we all know that you've currently, you've made the transition to Barco. You're in business development, management role there. But for those of our listeners that aren't in the AV technology space, just give us a little bit of a wider scope of who you are. And what you do.
Okay, well, my name is Chris Neto. I've been in the AV industry now for 20 years. I guess I started in '98 when I graduated college. I'm one of those people that actually went to college for video. I graduated with a communications degree with a radio and broadcast focus out of the great university of William Patterson University in Wayne, New Jersey, a little tiny state college. But I was originally an art major. I loved art, won a lot of state competition, did a lot of work, as building a resume or a CV to get into art school. Went to William Patterson for art, couldn't hack the 5-hour studio classes, decided to make a shift, take creativity to another spot. So I actually got into radio and television, had a little radio show up at school. I can't really say that it was successful, but it was over campus radio and I got to say and do whatever I want. And it was kind of great. But that's where I started about 20 years ago. I've pretty much done a little bit of everything in the industry, from being a technician to being an accounts manager, to being a consultant, even spent time last 13 years on site with end users as an end user at one point. And now I find myself at the role of business development consultant liaison with Barco. Barco is a Belgian-based company. We're known for the ClickShare. We're known for our projectors. We have so many different products out there that are some of the best and some of the most industry-leading products out there. But my role is to specifically work with consultants. Nothing I'm working on today is going to come to light until about 2.5 years as the stuff goes through its bid process, RFP. They're working with their architects and stuff. So I'm a long-term guy. I work on long projects that are way out there, but we're setting specs early. We're demonstrating technology. A lot of what I do has to do with road mapping. So knowing what Barco has today and be able to speak to the technologies that we're working on under NDA, for future. So that's who I am. That's what I do. What you know me for is what I do online. I've been involved on the online side of the business now for about 6 years. I think 2011. 7 years now, I guess, is when I started doing Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagrams and stuff like that. So that's the short version.
Very cool. Very cool. And I mean, now that you explained a little bit more about your role at Barco, it's like, man, that suits you very, very well, because even when it comes to social, it seems like you have a long-term strategy. Your vision is always long-term to get to the next point of anything, whether it's social or business development with Barco. So that role fits you perfectly, now that I know a little bit more about what you're doing there. Because when you transition, it was like, oh, Barco, Chris Neto's going to Barco. Everybody couldn't believe it. But when you kind of explain the role, it's like that that's perfect. It hones everything that you do, and it kind of all comes into one. That's awesome.
One of the things that was very intriguing about approaching Barco approaching me about this was that it was a long-term game, and part of the stuff that I was doing online was always looking forward. And I make fun of people with the futurists and all that. I'm not a futurist. I don't want that title. I don't want to wear the little metal, tinfoil hats. Go hide out in a closet somewhere. But, you're always got to think of technology, as a long-term game, because what is out today is already 6 months old to some people, right, already a year old to some people before that. Some of these products that are being developed today have been in development for over a year plus. So, and if you think you have the latest and greatest, there's always somebody else who's coming right up behind you. Anything that comes out to market today, you have to have in your mindset that it's going to be replicated, copied, whatever, within the next year, if not sooner. So you're always got to be moving and constantly pushing the envelope and moving forward, whether that's in physical, technical products and technology, or if that's in mindset of where your direction of your company's going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I've always been using social media, right? No matter what industry I was in, because I kind of was in the AV industry, but didn't know I was in it. And then when I got online, I had always been using Twitter. Twitter is one of my favorite platforms. Everybody knows it. That's no secret. And that's how I found you. And we got connected, and the ball's been rolling ever since through the industry with social media. And I think more and more people in this industry are grasping just how powerful it can be. But starting back in 2011, you said, was when you really started getting into all of this. How has it affected your career growth from using social media?
Well, social to me was something that I had to learn about, right? I'm not a millennial, right? I'm a Gen X through and through. I was, product of college in the 90s. It's not, late 90s.
Right.
So I can say I was born with technology in the sense that I was part of that video game generation of the NES and Segas and stuff like that. Don't ask me to play any of these new modern games, because this whole point of view and you're in real first person shooters that I can't figure out. I can't figure out how somebody got me from behind when I couldn't see them, which, I'm used to scrolling. But anyway, so how do I use social, and how did I get into it, and why did I use it? When I was an end user with one of the pharmaceutical companies that I was working for, the rumors of layoffs were coming, right? But even before then, I always was a big proponent of the education side of the business. So I got my CTS while working as an end user. I honed my skills there because I spent a lot of time as an end user sitting outside of conference rooms waiting to get in. It wasn't that I was using those conference rooms, but I was either speccing the conference rooms out or preparing the conference rooms for the next meeting, and there was always a delay. So while I'm sitting there, I was studying, I was reading, I was doing whatever. So I got a lot of certifications. I got certifications that are, to be honest with you, now only starting to come to light in AV. Having Six Sigma is not something that, many would think of it as an AV thing, but it's about lean process management. So I picked up Six Sigma. I picked up my IDLE certification while working as in the pharmaceutical side of the business. So I got an IT background of that, not to the extent of what I'm going to go run around and say that I'm an IT expert. By no means am I that. I'm an AV guy. That's where I learn, and that's where I cut my teeth on. But how did I add social? Basically, when the time was coming and approaching that I realized that, hey, this is a Fortune 500 company. There's going to be some layoffs coming. What do I do? My first step into it was LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where I dropped my resume and did my CE. But then I realized the LinkedIn was just not going to be a place where it was not dropping off your resume at a monster.com or a dice.com. Mm-hmm. You just do that and walked away. There was a community based around it. So then I had to go back and go completely old school. I bought books. I read. I devoured everything I could about using social media. And along that conversation of social media, I picked up a couple books that were about branding. never thought of personal branding. But in the social media books was conversations regarding branding and being careful about your brand. And I'm like, what? Are they talking about my employer or are they talking about me personally? And then I dove into that and understood that personal branding is not something that AV people were doing at the time. But here I am, I'm just a regular technician, but I have all these certifications. How do I take this to the next level? So when I lost my job and I had already had another job waiting for me, I sent out an email on LinkedIn, which I had been using, which wasn't against policy at the time. I was just putting my stuff out on LinkedIn and some articles that I would read on Mashable and Comm Integrator and SCN and stuff like that. And it captured one of my contacts actually read it and said, can you write a story about that? Because here you are in the worst economic downtime, right? And you leave your job on a Friday and on a Monday you started with somebody else. How did you do that? I said, I guess it was social media. So I wrote an article. It got printed. It became very popular. The editor came back. You got anything else? I said, yeah, I was an art major. So I have a portfolio that I carry with me of my work, with my resume, with my certs. I said, I want to separate myself from somebody who's sitting in that conference room, that's sitting outside the office when there's two people sitting there waiting to be interviewed. How do I separate myself with that? So I developed a portfolio, and a portfolio has everything that the boss would need to hire me on the spot, in my opinion, to separate myself from that. So I'd walk in, I'd hand it over to the interviewer, and I said, there's my resume. They're like, it's pretty thick. I'm like, well, it's not just my resume. It's my certs. It's pictures of work that I've done. There's some projects I've done. There's some good guy letters in there that I received from customers. There's some nice ones in there from CEOs of companies that I've done work with. I said, I need to separate myself from the person out there because if this is a competition, I want to win. And if I'm going to be better prepared, it's like being a baseball player. If I have to take swings to improve my swing so that I get more hits, so I increase my batting average, that's what I'm going to do. I'm playing the numbers. I'm practicing, I'm preparing, and I'm going to be better than the next. And if you don't come at me with that too, I'm going to run past you. So that's my mentality. So social media added a tool because I took all this and then I didn't have a place where to write about it. So I took all this writing, created a site, started publicizing it on social media, and next thing you know, I have a social media profile. And that was the genesis of it.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, I hope everyone was paying attention there because you really just gave a masterclass on personal branding and how to do it right and help someone really go from point A to point B. Because like you said, you went old school, but all of that stuff that you did, it worked for you. And so that's good stuff. I appreciate it. So we're going to switch gears just a little bit, double back around to the Twitter side of the conversation. I know Alicia had mentioned that as her favorite social media platform. But I have a question for you that's really centered around industry hashtags. And so when I first came to know who you were, I followed certain hashtags that you were using at the time. And I always wondered, like, how did these hashtags come about? Like, where were they born and what is the history behind them? So for some of the more popular industry hashtags, if you can help me out as well as help the listeners out, just kind of give a brief explanation of where these hashtags came from. And then also talk about a little bit about the hashtag that you're using right now, the AV and the AN.
Sounds great. Well, the history of hashtags, and I'm not the encyclopedia of this, nor am I the official authorized, spokesperson for this. But the most used hashtag within the AV industry is the hashtag AV Tweeps, and that was created by Johnny Moda and the original group of AV Tweeps that started back in 2009 or 2010, I think it was 2010 maybe. And let's first start by answering the question of what the hashtag is. Hashtag it's a publicly used way. This is public. Nobody owns a hashtag, right? You can give credit to the people that have worked it or developed it or made it popular. But, Johnny gets credit for that, along with the people that originally started using that. Because prior to that, it was people talking AV into the abyss. Without the hashtags on Twitter, nothing was organized. And that's what hashtags essentially they are. You want to be able to organize it so that you can go back or to follow those streams, right? So within AV Tweeps is number one. It's the one that you see the manufacturers using. You see everybody talking. If it's AV related, that's where it goes. There's a second one, which is Pro AV. Hashtag Pro AV is mainly used by, and the way I have come to understand it, hashtag Pro AV was mainly used by the people outside of the U.S. To talk about AV. And that could have been because it was probably used beforehand, before AV Tweeps was launched. But to make it more of a, I guess, conversation, they used that term AV Tweep. So Pro AV is out there. And then you start getting into the ones like AV Selfie. AV Selfie is one that I created a couple years ago. I think we're at the 5-year anniversary of AV Selfie, possibly this year. And it was created for a show. So it was created for InfoComm. It was a way to show people who are at the show, because AV Tweeps, a lot of conversation, but the problem with AV Tweeps at a show, for example, was that it was being used in conjunction with InfoComm 18, and everybody was dumping PR into it. So you get a lot of press releases, you get a lot of different things on there. So how do you make something stand out? You designate a hashtag to it. So the conversation of the AV Selfie came from, how do we do this? How do we take pictures? It was all about pictures. How do we get people involved? Let's get people taking pictures at their booths. We don't care where they are. Have them take it and show their logo in the background. Who cares? At the time, I was volunteering with AV Nation, so I brought the idea to them. I said, "Listen, this is the idea." And then Phil Cordell jumps in and goes, "I can create a song. Let's create a song." So, can you create a video? Tim goes, "I can create a video," and there it is. That's basically, and through the years, that's how AV Selfie became a thing. This time of year, we are in May, so getting ready for May. By June, hashtag InfoComm, whatever the number is. This year, it's InfoComm 18 is the official hashtag. The Twitters will start going nuts with that. So to get a better reach and a better exposure, people will couple, AV Tweeps with InfoComm 18. People will do AV Selfie, InfoComm 18, and it would all jump into that stream and get captured. AV Selfie is important that you use the AV Selfie thing, because the way the AV Selfie works is that everybody who's using that, they're grabbing the pictures and dropping them into the music video that Tim and Phil Cordell create. So the encouragement has been always take pictures and tag them with AV Selfie, because chances are you'll get into what some people refer to as the AV yearbook video. So those are the basic hashtags: AV Tweet, Pro AV, InfoComm with the hashtag. ISC has one as well. ISC and whatever the year is during Digital Signage Week, New York Digital Signage Week. I worked with the guys over from Doe. I worked with them when I was doing the AV Nation stuff. I do still love attending. So it's another thing where you have their hashtag that runs throughout the week, and that's it. Those are the popular hashtags. Can't go without saying, talking about our AV hashtag game that's out there. That's something that I created a couple years ago. That is now run by AV Nation. They change up who is, working the AV hashtags game. But every week there's a new hashtag. Some of them have stuck, others haven't. But the idea is you play once a week, Thursday to Friday with that, and it's creating hashtags. And it's, for the most part, it's the game, but it's the engagement and where the people are talking. Some people have fun. Some of the stuff like, AV a movie, AV a rom-com. I met somebody in New York City a couple weeks ago, and she goes, "Do I know you?" I'm like, "Maybe." And she was with an integrator. Well, apparently, she at one point was working for a manufacturer, and they used to love Thursdays to play AV hashtags because you were always in that. I said, "Well, we had something to do with that at the time." And she goes, "Oh my God, my AV rom-com was one of our favorite ones." And we were talking about it all day, and we'd run around and get people's ideas from their thing, and from the hashtag ideas, and come over and get into the game and play it. I said, "Well, then it worked. It worked because it got you talking, got your people talking at work. It was far reaching beyond just, wasting time and, making you do an 80s, AV 80s song or AV rock band or something like that. So it was just a fun game.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, tell us about your current hashtag though. It kind of spurred up out of nowhere. I just happened to be at work early one day and I see this whole group of people talking with this hashtag, and I'm like, wait a second, is there an AV industry chat? Because I know, Chris, that's something that we've talked about forever, because I love Twitter chats, and that's how I've kind of built my online community, joining different Twitter chats in different vertical markets. And then I see this hashtag and I'm like, holy cow, there's an AV chat coming to life here. Tell us about this, man. It's exciting to watch and be a part of as well.
First, I have to give credit where credit's due. There was an AV chat. AV chat back in the day, when it first originally got on Twitter, there was an AV chat, and it was a weekly thing during the week. It was run by Paul Konakowski and Linda Frembes. They would run a very organized, very well-run Twitter chat where they had a topic and questions, and they did it on, I think, every third Friday at 3:00 or something. I forget what the schedule was. And it was very well run and very well organized. And to me, it seemed like a lot of work to run all that. Oh, yeah. Eventually, their roles changed in what they were doing, and the Twitter chat sort of went into hiatus. And there's been, conversations, and people have tried doing it in the past. It was never my intention to redo something that somebody else already created. I didn't realize that there was, let me start over again. It wasn't that I didn't realize. It was what I saw with Paul and with Linda and with the people we're doing early on in the Twitter chat thing. It was very, very well organized. And for somebody like me who's now traveling and going all over the place and, with a full-time job, how am I going to organize this, right? So to me, it was sort of like, hey, I don't want none of I can't. I'd love to be able to join in every once in a while, but I couldn't be the organizer. So how did AV and AM happen? By accident.
The best things happen that way sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So the way what happened was I got up on a Sunday and somebody had asked a question and I answered the question. I don't remember the question, but the conversation was I forget where the conversation came from, to be honest with you, but I answered it. And it was a Sunday. I was making coffee. I was getting ready to make breakfast. I think I was making breakfast for my kids, right? Next thing you know, I had a person answer. This is Sunday at 7:30 in the morning.
Right.
Then another person answers. So that first week, we had about 5 people going back and forth. And at the end of it, they're like, hey, that was fun. Yeah, that's cool. Cool. Next week, making coffee. I said good morning, and 3 people answered me back. I'm like, the heck's that? So what do you want to talk about? Let's fast forward to the 3rd week. I said, all right, there may be something here on a Sunday morning. What am I finding here? So during the week, I think about a topic. But at the same time, I'm also thinking about what is it that's special about Sunday that people are up? Well, Sunday morning at around 8:00 in the morning, most people are musing around like I am. You're either up early because you're like me, waking up early during the week, and on Sunday, where the day you think you can sleep, you can't. Sunday is make my breakfast day for people. 2 small people.
That's 2 small people.
So because I have 2 small people that are looking for breakfast, I get up early and I start figuring out what it is I want to have for breakfast. But at the same time, I pop open my laptop and I'll say good morning. I take a picture of my coffee cup. And why are there people up? Well, I go to find out some are at the gym. Some are up because they're going to go do yoga. Others are up because they can't sleep and their body tells them to wake up at this hour anyway. Most people are having coffee like I am. Some are preparing breakfast. That's all right. Well, maybe Sunday in the morning is a sweet spot because during the week you weren't seeing that conversation, even on the AV Tweeps hashtag. You weren't seeing a conversation. Most people are kind of checking in on Twitter, but not engaging on Twitter. So I quickly figured out, all right, let's do something, make something of this. So I created a logo, put it out there, and advertised it. Within 5-6 weeks we've been doing this, it went from like 5 people engaged to, I think last week we had 750 impressions, people tagging the thing in a matter of hours. It's grown. I advertise it now as, hey, here's our topic on, I go to LinkedIn. I couldn't use LinkedIn groups. LinkedIn groups to me have, they have a purpose, they have a value, but the Twitter chat it was not conducive for how LinkedIn groups work. And on top of that, some of the LinkedIn groups are heavily moderated. So you're not going to get that real-time conversation, and the engagement just isn't there. If you want to have a long, drawn-out conversations of paragraphs at a time, you can go into a LinkedIn group to do that. But the conversations we're having, not for a chat, not for 100, not for, it used to be 140, not for 280, characters per minute. So AV in the AM became something accidentally, just because we found that Sunday mornings people were up and at them, and the people that are there are looking for conversations as opposed to, me asking questions and just getting a yes or no or a like. I'm actually getting conversations back and challenges back from people, which is great. So I serve as a moderator. I set a topic, and the funny thing is that by 6 o'clock in the morning on Sundays, I'm getting tweets. It's Sunday. Where's Chris Neto? When are we starting?
Now, is there a specific time frame that this happened yet, or are we still kind of feeling it out, seeing what works, and the conversation lasts all day? Because I'm one of those people. I'm not moseying around half the time. I'm usually at work, and I just happen to have downtime that one day where I'm scrolling, and I'm like, what the heck are these people talking about? What is AV in the AM? And then of course you did a video to kind of start it all. So the engagement was very exciting to be a part of. But right now, is it just where you're just filling out what times work? Or are you just starting when you wake up? Or is it an all-day thing? How is that working?
Well, the hashtag was created to be in the morning. It was supposed to be a morning conversation. That's how it originally started the first week or 2 or 3. But then the West Coast wakes up. When the West Coast wakes up, during the morning, this is what my metrics are telling me. In the morning, I'm getting the people still from Europe. So I have a lot of people participating in from Europe and from Ireland and from that area. The western side of Europe are participating in it. And then we hit that, point where now the Midwest starts answering, and then the people out in California start waking up, and it just starts to snowball. So there's really not a time frame. When I get up, usually I'm up on a Sunday, and I hate to admit this, but I'm typically up around 7:30, 8 o'clock, if not sooner. I sleep in until 7:30, 8 o'clock. All right, let's be honest. So there is no specific start time, but as soon as the hashtag starts chiming, I start getting notifications. So as soon as people are asking, what are we talking about? I just set the conversation. And the conversations questions are usually based around stuff that I either experienced during the week or come across during the week. Some of the topics that we've had last week was a big debate on defining what a UC space is. How do you define that? Is it by room size, people? Not a UC space, but how do you define a huddle space? Is it by the size of the room, the amount of people in the call, or by the technology? And that lit fires because some people are arguing that it's one thing, other people's arguing it's another. Conversations then sprawl, which is nice. It spiderwebs out. Another topic that we did the other day, a couple weeks ago, was regarding voice chat. Voice communication, separating, and we have to be clear to separate a voice assistant versus voice integration. And that was a whole other thing. So a lot of programmers jumped in on, yes, it's going to be in corporate. It's not going to be in commercial. And this is why. And those conversations, it's sort of conversations that need to be happening. Resounding.
So the topics are various, and also the time could be various as well, depending on what region or part of the world you're in. So this is all kind of like spontaneous. But one thing you mentioned is metrics. Mm-hmm. Can we talk a little bit about that side of things? What are some of the best ways to measure metrics, whether it's from a chat, you putting out tweets. How are you measuring that?
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Before you answer that, I just want to throw this out there. I have a confession to make. You do these things on Sunday mornings. Our church has multiple services on Sundays. So I got to tell you, I've been in there kind of checking to see what's going on, and I should be paying attention. But that's how good. It's a compliment to how good these chats are, and how how involved they are, how many people you have involved in them. I just have to peel myself away. I hate to tell you that, but I appreciate that you're starting these conversations in this fashion, because we've seen the success of Twitter chats in various multiple industries. But really having one take off in the AV industry, we haven't really seen that grab hold yet. So it's nice to see you having a lot of interest and a lot of success in the early stages here. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
What's fun about what you just said is that,
I saw a tweet about it.
Amongst all the conversations regarding, huddle spaces, or, what is the right path for careers and education in AV, which was another conversation we had, amongst all the conversations and people going back and forth, I get pictures of people cooking their breakfast. So I know that somebody's having bacon, eggs. I get pictures of coffee mugs. I've had coffee mugs already sent to me now. A couple of my Barco people were out in LA at a King Tut exhibit. They sent me, we know you like the coffee mug, so here's the King Tut exhibit coffee mug. Show it on AV and the AM. And it's now I got a collection of cups growing in my house. My wife's asking, what's up? What are we going to do with all these coffee mugs? Somebody last week somebody gave me a Star Wars BB-8 coffee mug, massive, coffee mug. And people are asking me about, how can we get an AV and AM mug? I'm like, man, I do these things one-off just as like promotion, because I'll go to the mall or I'll go to the boardwalk. I'll have a T-shirt made and like, yeah, here's the graphic. Can you just throw this on? And then people are like, where do I get that? I'm like, okay, well, I guess I have to figure out how to make some material on it. But absolutely, man, the best part about it is the people that are sneaking me pictures of, yeah, I'm in church and I'm can't peeled away from that. I got people sending pictures of like, hey, here's me at the gym, and showing me pictures like, I want to respond, but my treadmill I got 15 minutes left on a treadmill. I'll answer in a second. So I love that. I love the realness of it. It was never my idea or never my intention to go out and start something like this. It sort of just happened. And I think that, I even added that into the logo, where it's making fun of a coffee shop. 100%. It's called AV and AM, and underneath it's 100% organic tech talk. And it was a play on the organic coffees, and I wanted to do something about it being non-GMO and gluten-free and all that, but then I guess I would have upset some people. But 100% organic tech talk works, and the play on words actually works for this, because it does. It spirals out. It grows organically from whatever topic I am. I can walk away from it and come back later. My responsibility is making sure it's retweeted and sent out, and making sure that people put in the hashtags now, because the one thing I don't do very well right now is organize it. So, Alicia, your question regarding metrics?
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, because that's what I pay attention to on my own personal brand, right? So really, I think maybe nobody knew who I was until like the last year, especially in the AV side of this thing. So metrics, I pay close attention to that. Via Twitter analytics, like what tweets are working best with this community, who's looking at this, and peak times. How do you measure, whether it's from AV and the AM or in your personal like Twitter? How do you measure all of this?
Well, because I use hashtags, I use the hashtag on most of my tweets, simply because I can track it. So I go over to the guys from Daily Do who do the AKTV, and depending on whatever they're running, I can grab my metrics off of it. So if it's AV tweets, like this week, it's AV tweets. So I can go in there and I can see that over the last 30 days where it's at. And to me, last week for the first time, AV and AM popped up as a top twin hashtag. Now, here's how I look at that. It's on a Sunday. That doesn't make sense to me. It's one day a week. It's supposed to be in the morning, and it's ranking in a top 10. If I can creep into a top 10 hashtag of a top 10 hashtag that's being tracked overall with AV Tweeps, which has a couple thousand, tags on it, I must have done something right. Right. And it gives me more fuel to go forward. So for me, if people are using it and it's valuable, I'll continue adding fuel to the fire, because there's obviously a need for that. And recognizing that either through my Twitter metrics, the best part is knowing that I have lurkers. Lurkers are the guys that are sitting in the back and the ladies that are sitting in the back that don't want to jump in on the conversation. And the lurkers are there watching because my engagement levels and my views and impressions, things that I grab off of my analytics and some other programs that I use, are showing that there's a lot of people watching this. And I know that they're watching because even some bigger people in the industry that I never thought would be up on a Sunday are participating. Trade organizations are participating. Companies are participating. PSNI jumped in on a conversation on it. I got manufacturers jumping in on conversations. It's Sunday. It's off hours. It's not my barcode time. It's not my, this is just conversation for the industry to forward the industry. And, I just do it out of curiosity, I guess, for one. And now I'm seeing those metrics and I'm like, all right, there is a need. And, if there's a need and there's a purpose behind it, then I need to continue doing it. The conversations have been very good. I don't think that they have been negative in any way. I'm not that kind of person. It's never gotten personal. I've never taken somebody's opinion and, yelled at them online for being wrong. I think there's no right or wrong answers, but I think it's almost, everybody has that curiosity. Are we on the right track? Where are we going with whatever the topic may be? And, how do we get to a better point? And I think a lot of it is built around the community and all of us, being in the same. Those type of conversations have really shown that we're all in the same boat. Regardless of where you are, regardless of where your position is, and what company you work for, we're all sitting there, sometimes without a paddle in the middle of a lake. So how do we get to? It's
a cool community, man. It's a very cool community. You got end users, you got manufacturers, you got your global alliances. Everybody's joining in on this. And really, what I always thought of AV Tweeps is as one huge community. Everybody conversating, helping each other forward, and things like that. So it's AV in the AM is awesome, man. Congratulations on that. And I could talk all day on this. So Noble, cut me off. Let's go. Let's go to the next segment because I'll go all day.
All right. So we're gonna transition, Chris. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit, Chris. We typically do our product highlight segment right now, where we pick a specific product we want to highlight, and this week we didn't have one that we picked out ahead of time. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe let us know what is Barco working on right now that is a specific product that they're, that they want the market to know about. And if you could just spend 30, 45 seconds just letting us know what you guys are working on, that would be awesome.
Sounds good. So let's see. Of the many products that we have, I would say the hottest product we have right now would be our Unicy video wall. It is, without a doubt, changing the way video walls are designed, built, and serviced. Zero bezels. It's one of the few, if not only monitor out there. That's probably the only monitor out there right now that has an integrated mount and display with true Fordic technology. What I mean by that, the LCM, which is what we call the display, is nothing more than a box of light, right? You pull that off, you have the mount. But in the mount is the power and the inputs. It's not on the display, it's in the mount. You can't have one without the other. So why did we do that? It's because that's the only way that we were able to really get that zero glass on glass, no, mullions in between the two displays. So it gets a really tight seam. There's no air gap. The industry test was always take a credit card and try to slide it in between. You can't. So it's literally glass on glass. The picture's beautiful, to be honest with you. It does some really cool things regarding how you install it and how you service it. Everybody that I've spoken to, now I'm a consultant guy. Consultant guys love looking at that. The picture's great. Big picture, it's awesome. Price point is there. But I love talking to the programmers, installers, and engineers, the guys that I basically have hung out with for the last, 15, 20 years. They love the fact that they can build a video wall in half the amount of time. that they can go in and service a video wall in no time. They could swap out a panel in less than 5 minutes. As a matter of fact, when we debuted it, I was doing a Periscope out. And it's funny because I didn't catch it when it was live, but when I rewatched the video, somebody said over behind me, dude, that's two suits changing a video wall or installing a video wall. And it literally was. I didn't even pay attention. There was two guys there with suits and jackets taking a video wall screen off the wall, popping it back in. And it was my favorite comment of the whole thing. I didn't even know what was happening at the time. My microphone caught it. Somebody behind me was talking about two guys in a suit changing a video wall, and it got into the video. So if you want to check out a cool product, you're going to see product is the one you want to look at.
Awesome. Yeah, and is there cool. Are there like experience centers or regional shows they can go to if they want to see this in action?
Yeah, there are. It's on tour right now. We have a couple units out there on tour. There will be the Unicy is at all the Elmo E4 events that are going around the country prior to InfoComm and after InfoComm. I just finished a show down for Whitlock, the Whitlock Vibe show down in Richmond. The Unicy was there. We're doing a big we have it out on our own road shows. So if you look at into my Twitter, I can get you all that information there. There is a Barco Innovation Showcases that are going out. And then our big showcase is in October. Obviously, we'll be at InfoComm with a ton of Unicy, showing Unicy in a couple different ways that some people haven't seen. I'm lucky that I have a showroom in New York City over at Spring Studios with a 3x3 video wall. So if you really want to see the big picture, come see me.
Awesome. All right. Well, we appreciate what you guys at Barco are doing. And Alicia, do we want to talk sponsors? Just kick a quick shout out to the sponsors.
Heck yeah, we do. We love our sponsors, man. So the video side of what we do has been exciting, but also a challenge at sometimes coming into the video side of podcasting. But Videxio has been a huge help in what we do with our video. Noble, our show producer, he's been working his way through and really trying to, we put out content. Podcasting with audio and video is a challenge. And we've hit some technical difficulties along the way. But the good thing about podcasting is that we're constantly learning something new. But with Videxio platform, we've actually been able to take season 2 and 3 to another level with both audio and visuals. And that's what we do. So thank you, Videxio, for being a part of the Social Slice show and all that we do. We hope to see you guys soon. They're overseas, but I hear they might be at InfoComm. So we'll see how that plays out. So thank you, Videxio, once again for all you do. And of course, Peerless AV. Peerless AV has come on this season, and we couldn't be more happier. I was spending time with their team. Was that 2 weeks ago now or 3? Whatever. It's all a blur. But out in Vegas at their Peerless party. Once again, another amazing party at DSC. These are like some of the best parties I've ever been to in my entire life, and everybody knows I can party. But Peerless, they're a great group of individuals, but also they have great products. And later this week, you will be able to see some video that I'm going to share via the social platforms of a couple of their new products. So thank you, Peerless AV, as well.
Awesome. And definitely you can check those both our sponsors out on the website at socialslice.io. And so, Chris, we're going to go ahead and jump back into it real quick with the last few questions. So this next one has to do more with personal branding versus company branding and the pros and cons of being a personal brand within a company and how that the benefit for that person individually, as well as the benefit for the company as a whole when someone establishes a personal brand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how do I start this? They are two separate things, right? Barco is a brand, and who I am on Twitter is another thing. I first and foremost have to be very transparent. Who I work for, what I do. Right. So I have no qualms about it. It's out there who I work for. But my Twitter is still my Twitter. I do post food pics. I do talk about music. That's not really Barco related, but that's how that's who I am, and that's part of me. And if Twitter is going to be an extension of who I am, then that's something that I spoke to them about. What's great about, a company like Barco is that they got it. It's a challenge. Social media is still a challenge within AV. Barco understood, he has a voice. Our products, they speak for themselves. Right. But I do have a voice, and I do have, a track record on Twitter for being who I am. It's when I spoke earlier about, getting into the books and understanding it. Some of the things that I took off of the books when it came to personal branding and stuff like that is that everything you do will leave a digital footprint. So if there's some sort of advice that I could give people that are thinking about going this, if you're developing who you are online, it's a reflection of you, whether you call it a personal brand or not. I mean, you guys are marketing people, so you understand that there is a title or you can file that under personal branding. But the fact is that anybody who is online and you are tweeting, you are your brand, right? It's just whether you want to title that or not. So if you're leaving your digital footprints behind, you need to be able to, now some people call digital footprints on a security side. There is a social media footprint, right? As you move along and tweet and do the things that you do, be cognizant that at some point your employers are going to be looking at that. I've been very careful of that as I got into it. And that's part of the reason why before I even tweeted, I had to read about 3 or 4 different books. Okay. And then the personal branding books that I did actually reinforced the fact that, you know what, there's certain things I won't touch online, right? There's certain things that are taboo because they're too explosive or too, they can set people off. So I have rules and I follow them. They're personal rules. They're not Barco rules. Barco asks me to, what's the word I'm looking for? To be nice, not to be nice. That's not the right word. I treat it like I would treat my own brand. And Barco's looked through my history, and I don't have that negativity there. A couple things like it's tough to talk about politics. I don't talk about politics. I don't like talking about religion, right? But I will talk to you about music. I'll talk to you about movies. I'll talk to you about food. Sometimes I'm even weird about talking about sports because I've seen some fanatics. I'm a New York. That may right there, you may lose a couple viewers because I may lose a couple followers that I'm a New York Yankee fan. But I don't get into that conversation online. I'm a Giants fan, but I won't get into that conversation online. I follow the Giants, right? I follow other type of sports out there too, soccer and stuff like that, and watch some of the stuff that comes out there. But I'm very cautious in how I approach that because, trolls are part of Twitter. You have to be prepared for that. Nothing can prepare you for a troll. Nothing can prepare you for a negative person online. It's how you read and react to that. Unfortunately, I go right back into sports, and I talk about sports a lot when I refer to this. Social media for me has been always, you prepare for it like you would a sport. But to be honest with you, what taught me the most about social media was being a DJ. You want to talk about promoting and stuff like that. As formerly as a DJ, the only way I could make extra money is to have people in the club. How do I get people in the club? I had to go around and do flyers, right? Once I had the flyers, where do you drop off the flyers? How do you get people to join? You're engaging with the people. Now the people are coming to the club. How do you get them into the club? That mindset was very analog compared to this very digital process that I do. But it's the same thing. How do I get the message out? How do I get people in? How do I engage? And how do I keep people there? And how do I stay relevant to the conversations? So these are constant things that are constantly, running through my head. And a company like Barco that looks at what I'm doing, I'm engaging the industry. I'm trying to move the industry forward. As long as I'm staying in that positive light, I am not, I'm not that guy online who's poo-pooing every idea that everybody else is coming with.
Right.
Supportive. So that's the best one.
Just supportive, positivity, and
transparency.
Being transparent. Yeah, that's good. That's something I've struggled with as well because like a lot of people have grown to know me as my personal brand. They're like, "Oh, you're a Smooth Factor," but then they realize where I work, and they're like, "Oh, well, we have this product. Can we come in and do this?" And I'm like, I don't. speak on behalf of my company. You know, there's gotta be some transparency there. So that seems like one of the hardest points of being a personal brand and being so heavily attached to an employer or a company. So that's, it's got its pros and its cons.
I'll ask a question back to you. Is it? Yeah. It's a long process, is it not? It's not something that you're going to learn overnight. It's like, Jedi training or karate training. It's like you learn from different people out there. You grab ideas from people for you, and what you do. It's not something you're going to figure out overnight. Did you figure it out overnight?
Heck no. Okay. Heck no. It's a process. Yeah. Constantly evolving is right. Yeah.
So as a Knicks fan, I hate as a Knicks fan, I hate saying the process, but because that belongs to another team that's a little south of here. But give credit to it. The process, you have to trust your process. Yeah. And if you're going to go into the mindset that this is not Facebook. To be honest with you, I don't have Facebook. Of all the social media stuff I do, Facebook is not one of them. Why? Yeah. Because that's, to me, there's a lot of petty stuff that goes on in there. Here, I treat Twitter like it's a professional thing for me, and it's a professional blog, right? It's microblogging. Right. At its essence, that's what it is. And if I'm sharing information, doing it in a professional way, that's who I am. I mix in I mix in my personality into my tweets, and even picked up like Instagram to show that people that I do exist, that I'm not a robot, that it's not. So my Instagram goes off into more of my personal side, but that's open, that's out there if anybody wants to look at that. The minute it becomes, the minute I get trolls on Instagram, then I'll rethink how I'm doing it. But right now, everything's open out there, so take a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as I said, I could start picking your brain and asking you questions all day, but we've got to wrap this up. So, coming to the end of the show, as we wrap this whole thing together, can you share one real life perspective, or a social technique with our audience that's worked for you to grow socially?
Wow. I think that it's operating in different mediums would probably be one of the ones. I just mentioned Instagram. You can't be, I'm not saying I'm 100% successful, because what is success, right? Success to some people on Twitter may be 1 million followers. I don't have that. I look at my percentages. How many people are on Twitter that are in AV? And my focus is has been always on AV, right? If I look at how many people, or I assume how many people are on AV, having 7,500 followers strictly on an AV, centric thing, maybe that's a lot. There's room to grow. But I am not married to any one social thing. So when you start expanding who you are and how you're going to do your reach, you have to combine how you're going to spread that message across. So I standardize, for example, all my pictures are the same throughout all my Twitters and LinkedIns and Instagrams, right? Those are my 3 main things. I also have Snapchat. Snapchat is out there. You want to hit me up on Snapchat, go right ahead. It's out there. I try, unfortunately, I can't have it on my Instagram, but I try to keep my same Twitter handles going across the board, simply for identification and being able to be found. If you're going to be open, you got to be open, and you got to be findable and searchable. So if there's a piece of advice, it's having that plan, not being married to any one social platform, but address all of them at the same time. One thing I can't stand is somebody who LinkedIn, tweets, and Instagrams all the same crap, right? Be original. Right. You can try to separate yourself. I've seen people, constantly redo and rebrand and redo what they're doing online as individuals. That works. But if I followed you for being an AV person and now you are just talking about, food. Yep. Where's that conversation going to go? So, find a plan, stick to it, and give yourself a 5-year plan. My 5-year plan expired, and I had to rewrite a new one. What do I want to achieve with social media? Right now, I don't have that level of focus that I had when I first started, because I knew that I needed to create this, I needed to create that, and I needed to create this. And I went after that for 5 years, and I did it, right? The next one is, if you're going to ask me what my 5-year plan going forward, how do I stay relevant? How do I operate within a manufacturer and still have my own voice, right? How do I forward, the think, industry think, design think? How do I help other people with that? So that's probably my advice. I know it sounds kind of convoluted, but it all comes back to the plan, back to the process, and how do you, move forward with that. I think a 5-year plan, you got to be in it for a long haul. I don't think people make things overnight and are successful with things overnight. So I haven't reached my level of success, and I'm constantly pushing myself. So,
but in this industry, what you've done with your personal brand and for other companies and manufacturers is pretty amazing. So thanks for joining us and talking a little bit more about this. We're going to transition into the fun part. Well, this is all fun in all honesty, but this gives us a little bit more insight to our guests. We're going to go into our lightning round, and this is our moment where we give you 60 seconds and we're going to do rapid fire questions at you. So are you ready to play?
Come at me, man.
Bring it on. Bring it on. All right, Noble. What's up, man? How are we going to do this?
All right, Chris. Alicia's going to have be keeping time. I'm going to be asking the questions. She's going to alert you when there is 30 seconds left and when there is 15 seconds left. So with that said, we'll go ahead and get this thing kicked off.
Ready.
All right, Alicia, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. All right, Chris, what is your favorite food?
Pizza.
All right, and what is number 1 on your bucket list?
Number 1 on my bucket list? Wow. Dude, was not expecting that.
Yes, got him.
You stumped me on that one. Next. Pass.
All right. Which Star Wars Jedi are you?
I would definitely say maybe Obi-Wan. I made mistakes.
30
Okay.
seconds.
First two tracks you'd play if you were DJing to a group of AV engineers.
What would I play? God. I would probably go old school hip hop, and I would go Bonita Applebum, and probably, that would be a Tropical Quest, and I would probably do
5 seconds.
I don't know, something from LL Cool J.
Your time is up, buddy. We stumped him good. 3 questions? Really? I told you.
No, let's redo it, man. Redo it, man. That bucket list question, that's not an easy answer. That's not a one-word answer.
Come on, man. You can have something at the top of your list.
Hey, Alicia. Let's that was funny. Let's do something. Let's do something we've never done before. Actually, we did it with PSNI. And so let's give Chris another shot at the lightning round, because he's got to redeem himself now. He's got to redeem himself.
I'll focus.
I have a ton more questions to ask.
All right.
So let's reset the clock.
Let's
Chris,
reset
this is first. We've never done this before. I like
being the first. Yeah, I like being the first.
So let's reset the clock, and we won't get the same questions, but they're coming. They're coming.
Okay.
All right. Let me know when you're ready, Alicia.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, Chris. Here we go. All right, Chris. Tupac or Biggie?
Biggie.
Favorite childhood TV show?
Favorite childhood TV show? Dukes of Hazzard.
All right. Last Halloween costume?
I was I think I was dressed as a pimp.
Okay. Best decade, 80s or 90s?
Depends. I would go with 90s.
All right. Marvel or DC Comics?
Marvel.
Okay. Would you do it rather an in-person conversation or a Twitter chat?
In person.
All right. What is your favorite alcoholic beverage?
Wow. It would be any type of spiced rum, dark rum, aged rum.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
All right. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Every language in the world, I speak 3 of them.
Nice. Okay,
that was better. You got 8.
That's good. That's more closer to the average.
Yeah. We had to let you redeem yourself.
Awesome. No, you got me on the other one. I'm sorry, but the other ones were just like, how do I do bucket list in one word? I'm scared of heights. Skydive. It wasn't going to work.
Oh, man. All right, Chris. So let's do this. If you could just tell the listeners, like if they want to reach out to you and get a hold of you, what's the best way that they can contact you, either social media or email or whatever?
Social media, you got me 24/7. So I typically will answer based on, doesn't matter what time. Ask John Green. He tweeted me at 2 a.m. in the morning. I don't know why, and I answered him back. But you can reach me on Twitter at Chris_Neto. You can find me on Instagram at AV Shout. You can find me on LinkedIn. That's where my professional profile is. I try to keep that up to date. The company I work for, Barco, is on Twitter at Barco. You can find them at barco.com. You can see us at Infocom 2018. We'll be there. I wish I had the booth number handy, but I was not prepared for that. But Barco will be there. And come by, take an AV selfie with me. Sweet. I'll take an AV selfie with you and with you guys and groups and do that sort of stuff. That's the fun stuff.
Awesome. All right, Alicia, I'll let you go ahead and close us out.
Well, man, like I said, this is gonna be an episode that's close to my heart, Noble. We got freaking Chris Neto on the show, man. But all right, the time has come for us to end this show. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Be sure to go follow Chris online. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at the Social Slice Show. Social Slice Show, that's right. And we will see you all again next week. Coming up, be sure to listen to this episode. All right, until next time, peace out.
Thanks for listening to the show. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Jump on over to iTunes to leave a rating and review. This will help us improve our ranking and grow our brand. We appreciate your feedback.
Also, be sure to check out the show notes on socialslice.io, where you can link to all the resources mentioned in today's episode.
Want to join us on the show? Or you have an idea about a future topic? Follow us on Twitter at Social Slice Show or Facebook at Social Slice.
Tune in next week as we bring you more tools, tips, and strategies